It's time for the Word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. Joining me right now is Michael Lee, strategy founder, Michael Lee. And, of course, with us all morning is Mark Tepper. And, Mark, I want to kick things off with you. Michael, thank you so much for joining the conversation. We've been also looking at a pretty good week of economic data. We get the August new home sales and July Case-Shiller home price index out tomorrow. We'll also get the final read of second quarter GDP on Thursday, followed by the August PCE out on Friday. Do you expect any of these to be market moving?
Yeah, well, PCE on Friday, I think, is going to be massive, right? With the reacceleration and the skyrocketing oil prices, has that really taken over the inflation story? Are we going to see a reacceleration in inflation? In the last inflationary super cycle of roughly 40 years ago, you saw a double top where inflation spiked, came down dramatically, and spiked again. If you look at the chart from this cycle and the chart from that cycle, they are almost identical in terms of the reacceleration. Now, if that happens, we are in for some major problems. In that the Fed, they were too late to act, and I think they made it clear last week that they are not cutting rates anytime soon. And I think that the market's realization that we're not going to get rate cuts just because, and that for interest rates to go back down, it's only with material economic deterioration, was a bit of a shock to certain market participants. Even though Jerome Powell has been saying he will err on the side of too hawkish versus too dovish in this cycle. And then I think the biggest data point for the U.S. economy will be a very good look into the consumer with Costco earnings coming out this week. What are they giving in terms of guidance? Last week, the under-the-radar economic indicator, I thought, was FedEx's earnings. Their air shipments were down 4% in terms of volume, while ground shipments were up 3% year over year in terms of volume, but that's only on the back of the bankruptcy of Yellow Trucking. So you're starting to see declines there. You're seeing shipping rates, international freight shipping rates plummet. What are we going to hear from Costco in terms of consumer demand? Is the increase in revenue purely inflation driven, or are we seeing a decline in the power of the U.S. consumer? And one of the biggest, I'd say biggest and best indicators of actual wallet durability in these times. And so when I'm going to be looking really closely at that guidance to make judgments on the markets going forward.
It's a great point, but let me ask your take on the rest of the year after this strong year we've had. NASDAQ up 28% or so. Would you sell that now, or do you want to buy into it?
Well, Maria, so the S&P 493, so the S&P 500 outside of the Magnificent Seven is flat year to date. So you have these 7 stocks that have just absolutely skyrocketed. And I'd say some of them are overvalued, but we're also going to hear from Micron this week. And so if Micron is starting, it gives us a good number and is starting to scratch the surface that like NVIDIA has on this booming chip demand for artificial intelligence, that could turn the market around. I think there's value in this market, but I think you have to be selective. And if you're dollar cost averaging, if you're putting money every 2 weeks in your 401k, don't stop doing that. But if you're looking for trades, you need to be very selective here because there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty in front of us going into the end of the year.
Mark, what do you think in terms of this huge move?